and it's over the internet or it's live in front of crowds. So they don't want to do that now. So the answer to the question is they tend to either explain it with other ayat that the Prophet ﷺ, he said it was literal and that's it, and we don't say more than he says. So they hide behind the Qala Allah, Qala Rasulullah, ala fahm Sahaba, or they use sleight of hand. And that's the only way that can really be done because there's no valid explanation for it.
No, exactly. Thank you, Sheikh.
Yep.
The other question was, obviously the Imams in Makkah and Medina, there's millions of Muslims who go and perform the Hajj.
Right.
And the Umrah, and obviously there's a big debate that's there with regard to whether they should pray behind these imams or not. Now there are people like, reportedly Qadi in Medina al-Munawwara, and I've listened to his qiraat on TV and various things, and most of the times he sticks with reciting Qur'aan in relation to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in the Bil Jahr. So he all the time you listen any time of day, Maghrib and Isha, Salah and Fajr, and if he's the Imam, he will pray this. Then there's also the mention of them actually imprisoning a few years back when he spoke out against one of the Shia ministers who apparently said some things
about the Prophet.
That's right. So there are Imams there who are trained in Al-Azhar, and have studied in Al-Azhar. Are they the people we should pick out, or should we say, right, we're already behind any of the imams there? What's the position?
Question is regarding praying behind the imams in Mecca and Medina, the Hijaz region, particularly when there is a situation of Salafiyyah being there, and when you can find that there are some imams that have righteous statements that they've made, like Imam Ali ibn Abdul Rahman al-Hudayfi and others. Alhamdulillah, salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah. We must remember that upon takeover of that area, Arabiyyah, Kuwait, Bahrain, and Qatar, the legal courts that are there for the Shara, the legal courts for the revealed law, are still the courts of Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal. The magistrates, the judges, most of them are Hanbali judges. What the Salafis tend to control are the secular courts and the control of most of the Hajj procedures, and a fair portion of the leading of the salahs at Mecca and Medina. They have a rota. Now, not everyone on that rota is a Salafi, because the Sheikh of one of my teachers, Sheikh Abdullah Muhammad al-Khulaifi, he was a Hanbali judge who referred to them as Ahl al-Bid'ah, and he was on rota. Their understanding they had for him is they said, your job is to lead salah, say nothing. So he would say nothing. But when he was in his madrasa, he would say something. So this is how they did things. So you'll find them, the Subayl brothers, whether it's Abdul Aziz or the others, they'll have a rota of 10 or more people that lead the salah. Now, I don't always recognize the difference between Sudais and Subayl, or the difference between Khulaifi and Subayl. And so there's two issues to this that when I've asked about this, scholars have said it. One is after the adhan goes for the salah, to pray the salah, the fard salah, to pray that. The nafil before and the fard salah itself. And then to pray behind that imam intending nafil. So if that salah behind him is batil, then it's only the nafil that will be batil, and not the fard, which Allah has commanded to be acceptable to him. The second position is to pray behind them and repeat, or to pray behind them and entrust the matter to Allah because you simply don't know who you're praying behind. And our assumption as Muslim orthodoxy makes the assumption that, he must be deviated. No. You must remember, the Qaramita, who burned the curtains of the Kaaba and stole the black stone out of the Kaaba, they ruled there for almost 100 years. And people had to make the same decision. So it's not like it's something unusual that's happened. It's happened before. The 12ers got control of it. It's happened before. So you have really two options. One is to pray the salah before, or to repeat it after, or to say, listen, I don't know who these people are. I don't know which one's which. What I will do is I will leave the matter to Allah because I simply do not know. Now, the question that then follows on from that is, well, wait a minute, hold on. They're also wrong with regards to Hajj and moon sighting and the Eid, and then what do we do? The answer to that is Imam Muwaffiquddin rahimahullah's answer, in which he says, if all the people are wrongly gathered on the day of Arafah, and they sincerely tried to get there correctly, the sin for that falls upon the head of the governor who wrongly told them. So if someone's tried to do Hajj to the best of their ability, and the rulers over there are cultists, whether they're Qaramita, Shia, Salafis, they're all cultists. If they've tried to make that journey, and they were there wrongly, at the wrong time for Arafah, or the wrong time for Eid, the sin for that falls upon the governor. It's not their fault. They've tried to commit to the best of what they could do to be there, and to commit what Allah told them to do as fard. What you need to be careful of is what some brothers have done when I went on Hajj, in which you would find brothers praying in the stairwells and actually refusing to go to Masjid al-Haram during the Salah times. I can't tell you how disrespectful this is to Masjid al-Haram and the Kaaba, no matter who's in there. Because there are ways to get around this where the sanctity of Allah's masjid, you can hear the adhan. You can hear the adhan and you refuse to respond. This is what some of the scholars, this is one of the traits of nifaq. It's a kibira. And you're avoiding, I must avoid the bidatis. And you're praying by yourself in the stairwell of a hotel. This is ridiculous. You've got to get there. You've got to commit the rights that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told you to do. The same thing holds for Masjid al-Nabawi. There's a rotation of imams. And one of the imams that I tend to like, who's a Sunni imam, but they have him muzzled, I heard his voice a few times rather than Hudayfi's. Hudayfi had a cough and he couldn't lead on a couple of days, so he did it. And I prayed behind him and I enjoyed hearing him. So it's not always the same people. Khulaifi, when he was there, would lead Taraweeh. Sometimes he wouldn't. He'd lead Fajr and Maghrib. Sometimes he wouldn't. How is the common man who has come there supposed to say, okay, I need to go look at the rota. It's not pinned on the wall. They don't have it on satellite phone. So what's the layman left to do? He's left with those three options. If he says, listen, Allah, I totally consign this matter to you because I don't know who's who. I don't know who's in the lineup. They're all wearing the sunnah. They're all praying, and I'm just hearing the Fatiha recited correctly. I'm just glad to be here for Hajj. I don't know what's what. I'm going to pray and entrust this matter to you. Some of the scholars say this is valid for them to do, because otherwise you make the ummah detectives, and it becomes a problematic issue where they all have to be responsible. You see, and it can't. It's not within the realms. It's mashaqqa. It's a difficulty that's too hard for them. Yes. Right.
For that. Just one final question away from the topic, so if anybody wants to ask a question, then I'll come back to you.
Sure. Okay. Is there any question from any other believers? No? Okay. Take that as a final question.
Yeah, just in relation to the ayah, the portion of the ayah in Surah Al-Ahzab, إِنَّمَا يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ لِيُذْهِبَ عَنْكُمُ الرِّجْسَ أَهْلَ الْبَيْتِ وَيُطَهِّرَ تَطْهِيرًا. That ayah, there's obviously a bit of a debate from the groups in relation to what Ahlul Bayt means there. And obviously the preceding ayahs are all to do with the Azwaj of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and even in that ayah itself, the portion of it is to do
in the feminine tense.
Yes. So so the difficulty here is most of the one particular sect, they always say that this is definitely just only the wives of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. But then you have the hadith, some of them I was reading recently, which obviously state that the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam gathered his grandsons under his cloak one day, and Hazrat Aisha Siddiqa is narrating this, and she's saying he gathered his grandsons, and then Hazrat Fatima came and he gathered her under a cloak, or took her under his cloak, and then Hazrat Ali came and he put him on, and then this portion of the ayah was recited or came as direct revelation at that point.
Right.
So I just wondered if the Sunni ulama are clear on this, as opposed to the other.
Okay, the question is in regards to the identity of Ahlul Bayt according to the Shia cult and in comparison with Muslim orthodoxy. Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. The wives of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam are Ahlul Bayt. This can be evidenced from the fact of what happened in the Sahih of Imam Muslim, when there was a discussion between some of the companions on who Ahlul Bayt were, and they said that they're the wives. But he also mentioned, well, wait a minute, what about inheritance, who they inherit from, and the sadaqah? And he said, the other companion said, they are the wives are the Ahlul Bayt. But there is also the Ahlul Bayt in which it is haram for them to take sadaqah. And they name the 4 branches of the family. So when we're talking about Ahlul Bayt, there's the Ahlul Bayt that's related to the Prophet ﷺ by ascription, which are his wives, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, Bilal ibn Rabah, Salman al-Farisi. They're Ahlul Bayt by ascription. But then there is the Ahlul Bayt by blood, and that is referring to Hassan, Hussein, Ali, Fatima, and different senses are used. So that's why you'll sometimes find when people are making dua, Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam, that you ask for peace and blessings on the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his family. They don't say ala alihi wa zawjihi, on his family, his companions, because they include the wives within the family, because they're married to them. So it depends on what they would mean by Ahlul Bayt. But we, in a general sense, we hold the wives and the lineal descents as Ahlul Bayt. They're held as them. Now, whether we're calling them Bakri or Umari or what have you, they're Ahlul Bayt. When you're talking about blood lineage, then we talk about Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani, rahimahullah, being Ahlul Bayt in the blood, the lineal sense, in blood. But Imam Muwafiquddin, rahimahullah, Ibn Qudama, he can be called Ahlul Bayt in the sense of the fact that Umar radiallahu anh, one of his daughters, is married to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this is ascription, right? Although it's not necessarily blood, because he's not directly related to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but he's still Ahlul Bayt. You see, he's still Ahlul Bayt. So both of them hold. And the Shia creates difficulties for them. If they try to say that, well, wait a minute, these people, they're not Ahlul Bayt. No, not in the sense of inheritance, but they are in ascription. They're still held as Ahlul Bayt. If they say, no, they're not, because obviously the ayah mentions Ahlul Bayt being pure, they don't want them included as being pure, because they have enmity towards some of the wives of the Prophet ﷺ, it creates more difficulties for them. Because the more you try to get around them, and the more you try to exclude them from being Ahlul Bayt, you'll have to deny other things necessarily from Ali. Like, for example, the jovial relationship that Ali had with the other people that you're trying to dismiss or exclude from Ahlul Bayt. You're now in the nasty situation where you have to explain why Ali is being jovial and righteous towards these people who are actually wicked and usurpers, and according to some of them, murtaddin or apostates. And it creates a problem for them.
The last question, going on from that, so I have just another question that arisen, so it has to be the last one, is you know when the Qur'an uses the word لِيُذْهِبَ عَنْكُمُ الرِّجْسَ, this word rijs, and obviously to purify the Ahlul Bayt, if they were direct blood of the Prophet ﷺ anyway, because obviously, you know, the grandsons were his direct blood, and obviously you have the hadith in relation to somebody drinking blood of the Prophet ﷺ and say that Jahannam is haram on you because you've got the blood of the Prophet ﷺ. So the direct blood. So we have a difficulty in how they translate this ayah and what they mean by rijs in terms of interpreting this ayah.
Right.
So what's your opinion on that?
Okay, the question is in regards to the ayah that mentions Ahlul Bayt in Surah Al-Ahzab, the 33rd surah, regarding the rijs being taken from them. That hadith, alhamdulillah, that ayah and the use of the expression rijs is explained by scholars of commentary as meaning whatever sins that the Ahlul Bayt, that members of them may have, that they may commit, that they may have, for example, if they have bad intentions or things like this, or whatever people that are among them that aren't from the household may have towards them.